If you didn't know that Clint Eastwood had a new movie opening, that's not your fault. It's the fault of the company that made Batgirl disappear. It is getting a very tiny release. Will it be Eastwood's last movie? Who knows? Will it be Eastwood's last movie at Warner Brothers? Probably. Juror number 2.
Yeah, it's weird because it's good and they hit it in a way that suggests that it's not, but It is a very old fashioned piece of storytelling. You know, the saying, they don't make them like they used to. Well, this is Clint Eastwood making them like they used to, you know, and it's very entertaining. So come subscribe, come hang out with us. We're here for you for all the scrappy little auteurs like Clint Eastwood. He's 94 years, right. He's 94 years old and this might be his last film. And if so, he is going out on a high note, especially compared to like Cry Macho. And the Mule and 1517 to Paris. These were not good movies, but this really is.
They had a fight. And he's going to pay for what he did.
I feel particularly qualified to talk about juror number 2, having just endured jury duty myself. They did not pick me. They did not even get to the point of asking me the voir dire questions, but I sat in that room for 5 days and I listened to people answer the same questions over and over again, like we see here in this film. So Nicholas Hoult is a writer and he gets summoned to jury duty in Savannah, Georgia. And his wife, played by Zoey Deutch, is super pregnant. Like she's fixing to pop any second now. And it's a problematic pregnancy. And so he figures, sweet, this is my way out of it. Like they're not going to make me sit there all day with my wife at home. But no such luck. They want him on this homicide trial. A young woman played by Francesca Eastwood, the director's daughter, is found dead on the rocks at the bottom of a bridge, like at the side of a stream.
The Old Quarry Road. And I know this because they say the term Old Quarry Road about 10,000 times in this movie.
It's important,
it
right?
Is.
If you're piecing it together yourself while you're watching it, Old Quarry Road matters. And so, you know, the prosecutor, played by Toni Collette, thinks this is an open and shut case that will catapult her to the DA's office. She is running to be DA. She figures, oh, the boyfriend had to have done it. There's a history of drinking and volatility there. People saw them drinking that night. People saw him chase her out to the parking lot that night. It's got to be him. It's done. His lawyer, played by Messina, tries to inject like even the slightest smidgen of reasonable doubt into the jury, including Nicholas Hoult's character. And as Nicholas Hoult's character listens to some of the details about that night, what happened to this young woman, he realizes, oh, I was at that bar that night too. And ooh, I might know more about this than I would like to admit. So that is the tension here. It's like, how does he do his duty? How does he sit in this room with his peers and come to the right conclusion and also worry about his own future being at stake alongside this guy who's on trial? So it's just a great cast. Like it's well made and it's smart and it moves well. It's very tense. Among the supporting cast are J.K. Simmons and Leslie Bibb is in it. And
Kiefer
it's like
Sutherland.
a great... Kiefer Sutherland, right, is a lawyer who is a friend of his. The fact that he is a recovering alcoholic, Justin, I think gives a great deal of sympathy to what he's going through and how grateful he is for a second chance, and makes you really realize how much is at stake for him. Zoey Deutch is good as his wife. Like everyone's good at this. It's glossy. It's got like great production values. Yves Belanger is the cinematographer. It feels like a weighty, like mid-budget movie for grown-ups, the kind of thing you'd see in the 80s and 90s that we don't really see anymore. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I don't want to oversell this because it's not like, you know, earth-shattering cinema, but yeah,
best
it is,
of.
exactly. But it is absolutely a mid-budget movie for grown-ups, which no one makes anymore. And so it's nice that someone is still making them, even if studios decide they don't want to distribute them, or at least, you know, in a way that anybody's going to see it beyond like 50 screens or something nationwide, which is insane given the long-standing history that like when you think about directors and studios having a relationship, like Eastwood and Warner Brothers are up there. Like
there's a freaking building named for him on the lot.
I'm imagining Eastwood calling up Christopher Nolan and be like, how'd you get that Universal deal? You know? Yeah, I mean, it is solidly performed. It is entertaining. It is suspenseful. You could classify it alongside Sully and Richard Jewell in the White Men Can't Get a Break trilogy from Eastwood, because so many people on the jury, particularly the, people of color on the jury, are fully ready to railroad this guy played by Gabriel Basso, who played J.D. Vance in Hillbilly Elegy.
Oh, right. How funny.
Yes, based on the very circumstantial evidence, that they're like, okay, yeah, he's got a neck tattoo. They saw him argue with his girlfriend. He broke a beer bottle. Yeah, he's the killer. Bam, we're done. And obviously, the character played by Nicholas Hoult knows otherwise, but is trying to walk this tightrope of injecting enough doubt into people in the room while not, having them ask too many questions about, okay, well then who did do it, So yeah, it is a solidly entertaining kind of B+ legal thriller.
It feels like a lost John Grisham book that's like someone just found and brought to the screen, right? Like it's tense, but there's comfort in the ritual of it, like the whole courtroom drama of it, questioning the witnesses and all that. And the sound design is really good because we keep going back to that night, and it was pouring rain, and we keep going back to that night from different angles, from different perspectives, but like the sound of it, it's intimate, but also puts you on edge. You're in the car and the rain is pouring down, and I feel like that helps create a lot of mood as far as what did or did not happen that night.
Right. And there's like a scene in a Savannah graveyard with the Spanish moss hanging from the trees. I was like, oh yeah, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Like we've been here before with Clint,
We have.
So yeah, it is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think it's better than perfectly fine. I think it's like really, really well crafted.
Look, it is solid. I don't want to disparage this movie, but at the same time, I don't want to hail it as the second coming, because if we got movies like this more often, this would be just another one of them. So I think one of the things that's most notable about it is just that this is a kind of film that the studios have seemingly forgotten how to produce and distribute, and clearly they've forgotten how to distribute it because they're not distributing this one with the kind of vigor that they would have years earlier.
Yeah, it's weird. Toni Collette's Southern accent is very iffy.
Oh yeah, it's a little all over the place. Even though she is among the Aussie actors, I think generally very reliable in her regular American. But yeah, the Southern the some of the details are a little elusive. Chris Messina's good in this.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's good.
Yes, and that last shot is a doozy.
For sure. Yes. And it does, I will say this, it does what these movies are supposed to do, which is it keeps you guessing until the very end.
Yeah, and it'll make you think and talk about it afterward. Like, what do you think happened after the credits rolled?
Sure, and it is one of those what would you have done?
What
kind
of
deals.
Do? Yes.
Exactly.
I will say I gave it 3 out of 4 for Ebert, so I will say a 7.6.
Yeah, I'm right there, 7.4. Yeah, it's good, and it would be nice if it did well, so that maybe the studio would be like, maybe we should have put it in more theaters.
But probably not.
Probably not.